My name is Evelyn May, and I am 82 years old. I live in the same small house in Harmony Creek that my late husband, Thomas, built for us 60 years ago. I spent 40 years as a nurse, but before that, in a life few remember, I was one of this town's first female police officers. My life now is quiet, filled with gardening and the crossword, centered around my only daughter, Sarah. Sarah married a real estate agent from the city, Marcus. He was all charm and expensive shoes, but I never trusted him. A mother's intuition, I suppose. I always saw a coldness flicker behind his perfect smile, a dismissive tone when he spoke to my daughter. Sarah, bless her heart, always made excuses. "He's just stressed, Mom," she'd say. I wanted to believe her, but my gut told me something was deeply wrong. The clock on my mantel chimed 1 a.m. I was dozing in my armchair when a sound jolted me awake, a desperate, frantic pounding on my front door. It wasn't a knock, it was a plea. My heart leaped into my throat. I rushed to the door and tore it open. There she was. My Sarah. She didn't look like my daughter. She was a broken thing, huddled on my welcome mat. Her lip was split, and a deep, angry bruise was blooming across her cheekbone, swelling her eye shut. Her clothes were torn. She stumbled into my arms, her body trembling with sobs that sounded torn from her very soul. She collapsed against me, her weight almost taking me down. "Mama," she choked out, her voice a raw whisper I could barely hear. He beat me. Marcus. He beat me, for his mistress." The words hit me like a physical blow. The world narrowed to a single point of icy, molten rage. This was not the anger of a frustrated old woman, this was the cold, clear fury of an officer. I helped her inside, my gentle grandmother persona evaporating. While Sarah wept on the sofa, I walked to my hallway closet. I didn't reach for the first aid kit. I reached past the old blankets and pulled out a heavy, dark blue box. Inside was my old police uniform. My hands, wrinkled and spotted with age, were perfectly steady as I put it on. The fabric was stiff, the weight familiar. I was no longer just a grandmother. I was an officer with a duty to protect. I picked up the phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in 20 years. "Frank," I said, my voice cold and hard. "It's Evelyn. The plan starts now." "Evie? My God, is that you?" Frank Sullivan's voice was gravelly with sleep, but he was instantly alert. Frank and I walked the beat together when this town was nothing but dirt roads. He became chief of police while I became a nurse, and he now ran the most feared private investigation firm in the state. We had a pact, if one of us ever really needed the other, no questions asked. "It's Sarah," I said, my voice flat. He put his hands on her, Frank. He broke her. The silence on the line was heavy. "I never liked that weasel," he finally growled. "Phase 1 is medical. Get her to St. Jude's in Oakwood, not the local hospital. Marcus has too many friends there. Ask for Dr. Agnes Liu. Tell her it's a code Nightingale. She'll know what it means. Get the full workup, every photo. I'll meet you there." I hung up and turned to Sarah. She was rocking, her eyes wide with terror. "No, Mama, no hospital. He'll find me. He said if I told anyone, he would take Lily. He said he'd tell the court I was crazy." The mention of my granddaughter, Lily, turned my blood to ice. This wasn't just a beating, it was a trap. "He won't find you," I promised, my voice iron. "And he will never touch Lily. Right now, we are ghosts." I wrapped her in an old quilt and led her to my 20-year-old Buick. We drove the dark country roads, the only sound her quiet, hiccuping sobs. My mind was a steel trap, clicking through a list. He saw me as a senile old woman, a burden, someone to be put in a nursing home. He had forgotten who I was. He was about to get a very harsh reminder. At St. Jude's, Dr. Lou was waiting. "Code Nightingale," I said. She nodded, her eyes full of compassion, and whisked Sarah away. "Frank is in the private waiting room," she said. I found him pacing, looking like a rumpled bear in a fishing vest. "She's being documented," he said, handing me a cup of black coffee. "Now, Evie. The plan we made, that was for a rainy day. This is a hurricane. Once we start, there's no going back. He will lose everything." I looked him in the eye. "He hurt my daughter. He threatened my granddaughter. I don't just want to win, Frank. I want to scorch the earth." He nodded, a grim smile. "Good. Because I've had a file on him for years. He's not just a bully, Evie. He's a crook." "A crook? What do you mean?" I asked, sitting on the sterile plastic chair. Frank pulled out a small notebook. "Your son-in-law has a nasty side business. He targets retirees, charms them, and gets them to sign over their assets into investment schemes. Then he bleeds them dry. He's a thief, Evie, preying on our generation." I felt sick. All his jokes about my pension, his offhand comments about how I should let him manage my estate. He wasn't joking. He was planning to rob me blind and put me in a home. He was sizing you up, Evie. "You are next," Frank said, reading my mind. "And the mistress? Her name is Chloe. She's not just his girlfriend. She's his business partner. She's the notary on half of these fraudulent documents." It all clicked into place. The late nights, the business trips. Sarah had been unknowingly funding her own replacement. "So how do we stop him?" I asked. "He's trapped himself," Frank said. "He's been moving money, sloppy. He's been borrowing from escrow accounts. But here's the kicker, he put Sarah's name on several of his shell companies. He thinks it traps her. If she talks, she goes down with him. He had made her his prisoner, legally and physically. How do we save her?" I whispered. "That's phase 2, asset annihilation," Frank said. "I have an accountant inside his firm. We have everything." Just then, Dr. Lou returned, her face pale. "Evelyn, the tests are done. She has a concussion and 2 cracked ribs." She paused, taking a deep breath. "There's something else. We were lucky, the assault didn't. Evelyn, Sarah is pregnant. About 8 weeks. The room spun. Pregnant. With his child." My mind flashed to his threats. A baby. He would use that baby as a weapon to control her forever. "No," I said, my voice a low growl. "He won't." I looked at Frank. "He can never know. Not until this is over." Frank nodded, his face grim. "Agnes, this visit, this chart, it gets buried. Jane Doe. But the evidence, the photos, you keep it safe." Dr. Lou agreed without hesitation. The stakes had just been raised. This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was a rescue mission. We snuck Sarah out of the hospital and back to her childhood bedroom. I gave her the medicine Dr. Lou prescribed, pain pills and prenatal vitamins, and she fell into an exhausted sleep. I sat in my kitchen, the old police uniform still on, and made a pot of coffee strong enough to wake the dead. The baby changed everything. We had to move faster. My first call was to my granddaughter, Lily, at her college dorm 3 states away. "Grandma? It's like 2 in the morning," she mumbled. "Lily, listen. Your mother is here. She's safe. Your father, he hurt her. He beat her." The line went silent, then I heard a sharp, angry gasp. "I knew it," she whispered. "I always knew he was a monster." "Is she?" She'll live, I said. But he is going to call you. He'll say I'm senile, that I've kidnapped her. You must play along. Be confused, be worried. Record every call. You are my ears. Can you do that? I'm downloading a call recorder right now, Grandma, she said, her voice pure steel. Ruin him. My next call was to Frank. Lily's in, I reported. What's next for phase 2? Asset annihilation, he replied. Marcus has 2 weak points, his clients and his mistress. We hit both. I have the list of seniors he's defrauding, including a retired judge named Arthur Vance. I'm about to make a call to the judge's daughter, the one with power of attorney. She's going to find out her father's estate is missing. But you, Evie, you're going to pay a visit to the mistress. Me? What am I supposed to do? You're going to be a terrified, 82-year-old grandmother, Frank said. Go to her condo. Cry. Beg for your missing daughter. Tell her you're scared Marcus hurt her. Tell her you had to call the police. You're not accusing her of anything. You are going to scare her so badly she panics. An accomplice who panics is an accomplice who talks. She's going to think the whole thing is unraveling and that Marcus is about to pin it all on her. I saw the brilliance of it. Chloe, the 24-year-old partner, was about to be cornered by a hysterical old woman. She would crack. I can do that, I said. Evelyn is going undercover as a hysterical grandmother. The next morning, I swapped my uniform for my frail old lady costume, a faded floral dress, a stained cardigan, and my most sensible shoes. I drove my old Buick to Chloe's luxury condo, the concierge eyeing me with disgust. I knocked on her door, my hand trembling just enough. The door opened on a chain, revealing a young woman with smudged makeup. Can I help you? She asked, annoyed. I let the tears come, real tears of rage. Please, I whimpered. I'm looking for my daughter, Sarah. I'm her mother, Evelyn. Her husband. Marcus, they had a terrible fight. I'm scared he hurt her. She's missing. Chloe's face went white. She knew exactly who I was. I don't know. She stammered, trying to close the door. Please. I cried, I had to call the police. I filed a missing person report. They're going to talk to Marcus. They asked for his friends. I'm just so worried. The word police was the key. Her eyes went wide with terror. This wasn't designer bags and fine dining, this was a potential criminal investigation. You called the cops? She squeaked. Oh my God. I can't be involved. I don't know anything. She slammed the door in my face. I stood there, waited a beat, and then smiled. The hook was set. I walked back to my car, parked around the corner, and called Frank. She's terrified. She'll call him, frantic. I know, Frank said, his voice grim. And my team just lit the other fires. I anonymously tipped off the IRS about his offshore accounts. And Judge Vance's daughter just found out her father's $2 million estate is gone. Right now, Marcus is getting a call from his hysterical mistress about a police investigation. At the same time, he's getting a call from his bank about an IRS freeze. And then he's getting a call from the very angry son of a very powerful judge. The rat is in the trap, Evie. Now we watch him chew his own leg off. The trap is set. Marcus is being hit from all sides. I returned home to find Sarah in the kitchen, pale and shaky. He's been calling, she whispered, pointing to her phone. 40 times. And Lily called. He cried to her, said he was worried that you'd taken me. As she spoke, my phone rang. An unknown number. Mr. Vance's son, I mouthed. I put it on speaker. Mrs. May, a cold voice said. It appears your son-in-law, Marcus, has defrauded my father of his entire estate. My investigators tell me your daughter, Sarah, is listed as a partner on the shell company. Sarah gasped. That's a lie. I didn't know. I held up a hand. Mr. Vance, I said, my voice full of confused old lady panic. I don't understand. My daughter, she's missing. Her husband, he beat her. Terribly. I think he's taken her. She just signed what he told her to, she trusted him. Oh, my poor girl. There was a stunned silence. He what? Mrs. May, this changes everything. My father's case is now a criminal matter. We are freezing all of Marcus's assets as we speak. If your daughter is a victim, we will find him. He hung up. Sarah stared at me, her eyes wide. Mom, what did you do? I gave them a new story, I said. The true one. Before she could reply, her own phone lit up. Marcus. It went to voicemail. I hit play. His voice, no longer charming, filled the room. It was a panicked snarl. Sarah, you stupid. Where are you? Your lunatic mother has been talking to Chloe. She's talking to the police. Vance's son just froze the accounts. Our accounts. You've ruined everything. You pick up this phone, or I swear, I will find you. And when I do, you and that crazy old bitch are going to pay. The message ended. Sarah was white as a sheet. She finally understood. The man she married was gone. This monster was all that was left. He's unraveling, and he's dangerous. Marcus just threatened an 82-year-old woman, and he has no idea who he's messing with. He's coming here, Sarah whispered, trembling. He knows I'm here. Let him come, I said. I dialed Frank. He's lost it, Frank. He's on his way. I know, Frank said. He just tried to liquidate an offshore account and was declined. He's trapped. Lock your doors. I'm on my way, and I'm bringing friends. I turned to Sarah. Go to your room. Lock the door. Do not come out, no matter what. She fled. I went to my own room, to the box with my old uniform. I didn't put it on. I pulled out my old service revolver, checked that it was loaded, and sat in my rocking chair by the front door. I waited. An hour later, headlights washed across the room. A car door slammed. Then, a furious pounding on the door. Sarah! Open this damn door! I know you're in there. I sat, rocking. Evelyn! You senile old hag, he roared. You think you can ruin me? I'll have you thrown in a home. Now open it. The pounding turned to a violent kick. The old door frame splintered. He kicked it again, and the lock burst. The door flew open. Marcus stood there, his expensive suit rumpled, his face purple with rage. There you are, he sneered. Where is she? I stopped rocking. I slowly raised the revolver and aimed it at his chest. Get out of my house. He froze. He hadn't expected this. He actually laughed. Oh, come on, Grandma. Put the toy down. He took a step inside. I am not confused, I said, my voice as cold as the grave. I told you to get out. I'm not leaving without my wife, he spat, and lunged. Not at me, but toward the hallway, toward Sarah's room. I didn't hesitate. I pulled the trigger. The explosion was deafening. The bullet hit the floor at his feet, sending wood splinters flying. He screamed and stumbled back. He finally understood. I wasn't playing. The next one, I said, my voice flat, is in your knee. I'm a retired nurse. I know exactly where to shoot so you'll never walk right again. Get out. Just then, flashing red and blue lights flooded the room. Evelyn! Frank's voice called out. You decent? Two uniformed officers appeared in the doorway behind Marcus, their hands on their holsters. Frank pushed past them, saw the scene, and sighed. Evie, you always did have a flair for the dramatic. Grandma's not playing. She just fired a warning shot. Marcus is cornered, the cops are here, it's all going down. She shot me. Marcus shrieked the moment he saw the uniforms. Arrest her. She's crazy. Frank calmly walked over and took the revolver from my hand. This man, he said to the officers, is Marcus Thompson. He's wanted for multi-million-dollar fraud. He's also just broken into the home of a retired police officer. He handed them a thick file. That's the warrant for fraud. And this, he handed over a second file, is the evidence package from St. Jude's, documenting the aggravated assault he committed against his wife. One of the cops looked at me, then at a framed photo on the mantel of me in my uniform. You're that Evelyn May? He asked, his tone shifting to respect. The senior officer read the report, his face hardening. Marcus Thompson, you're under arrest. As they cuffed him, Marcus twisted, his eyes finding me. The rage was gone, replaced by a cold, reptilian hatred. This isn't over, Evelyn. You think you've won? You and that thing she's carrying. I know, Sarah. I know about the baby. You can't hide it. My blood ran cold. Sarah, who had crept out of her room, let out a strangled sob. How? Chloe, Frank muttered. She must have told him. Marcus heard Sarah's cry and smirked. That's right. It's my baby. I'll get custody. I'll tell the court you're both unstable. The officer shoved him into the patrol car. But the damage was done. Sarah slid to the floor, hyperventilating. He knows, Mama. He'll take my baby. He'll never stop. He had money, Frank said, stepping back inside. He has nothing now. He's finished. It won't matter, Sarah wept. He'll find a way. I looked at Frank, a cold, terrible idea forming. He's a white-collar criminal, Frank. He'll be protected in jail. Unless he's not just a fraudster. Unless he's something the other prisoners can't stand. Frank stared at me, a grim understanding dawning on his face. Evie, what are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said, that a man like Marcus doesn't just find that much dirty money. Who is he really working for? Frank's eyes went wide. My God. You're right. I need to make a call. I think I know exactly where he got his seed money. And if I'm right, he's not just going to jail. He's going to hell. Oh my God. Frank has one more card to play. What has Marcus really been up to? What do you mean? I asked, my heart pounding. Frank looked at Sarah, then me. My accountant found the last firewall. Marcus wasn't just stealing from retirees. He was laundering money, Evie. For the Rivera cartel. The name hung in the air, toxic and cold. The Riveras were butchers. He was their clean face, Frank explained. He used his real estate shell companies, the ones with your name on them, Sarah, to wash their drug money. The money he stole from Judge Vance? That was him trying to cover a hole. He lost their money. And now, he's been arrested. We all understood. A man who beats his wife is scum. A man who steals from the elderly is a thief. But a man who loses a cartel's money is a dead man. So what now? Sarah whispered. Now, Frank said, pulling out his phone, I make one more anonymous call. To the DEA. They've been trying to get a hook into the Riveras for years. They'll take one look at his books, and he'll be in a federal cell by morning. He'll be labeled a high-profile informant. A rat, I breathed. Even if he doesn't say a word, the cartel will assume he's talking to save himself. And rats don't last long, Evie, Frank said, his eyes hard as diamonds. He won't make it to trial. He'll have an accident. It will be over. For good. Sarah looked horrified. You'd be sentencing him to death. I looked at my daughter, at the bruises he left, at the unborn child he threatened. I felt no pity. Only cold, quiet finality. He sentenced himself, Sarah, I said. He did this. Frank, make the call. Frank nodded and stepped outside. The war was over. This is the ultimate revenge. Marcus is finished. The aftermath was quiet. Just as Frank predicted, Marcus was transferred to a federal facility. His name vanished from the local news. We waited. 3 weeks later, Frank showed up on my porch, hat in his hands. It's done, Evie, he said, his voice low. An unforeseen complication in prison transport this morning. He's gone. I nodded, a great, heavy weight lifting from my shoulders. I told Sarah. She didn't cry. She just closed her eyes and let out a breath she'd been holding for 10 years. It's over, she whispered. It's really over. With Marcus gone, the legal mess was simple. Frank's lawyers proved Sarah was a victim of coercion, and all charges against her were dropped. The cartel's money and the IRS's liens took everything, but we didn't care. My house, Thomas's house, was safe. 6 months later, Sarah gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. She named her Hope. I sat in the bright hospital room, holding my new granddaughter, her tiny fingers wrapped around my wrinkled one. I was no longer a warrior. I was just a grandmother. Thank you, Mama, Sarah whispered from the bed. You saved me. I looked at her, my tough, beautiful daughter, and at the new life in my arms. We saved each other, baby, I said. That's what family does. My house is no longer quiet. It's filled with laughter. The old uniform is packed away. The battle is over. We won. Thank you for following Evelyn's journey. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe for more powerful stories. And tell me in the comments, what was your favorite part of the plan?